Hey guys! Welcome back, and my dog is wagging his tail because he's so excited to hear my voice. Look at that adorableness. Say hi to camera, Calvin! Hi, Calvin! I filmed this video already, and then I didn't like the way it came out. So before editing it and wasting my time trying to make something great out of something I didn't like, I decided to refilm it completely. We are wearing a hat today, even though it's like 75 degrees in here, because my roots are still 3 shades darker.
Ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because
Then the rest of my hair. So what I'm going to do is this week I'm going to talk about my mental health, and next week I'm going to talk about After Laughter and the ending of the era, whatever, because I have more time now. I put my 2 weeks in at Staples, and I work at Journeys in an undisclosed location. Y'all don't need to know where I work. Before we get started, a few things. I got another tattoo, which, you know, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it, but here it is. It is from Fake Happy by Paramore. Obviously, like, there's no, you know, abstract concept to that. That's just part of the music video, so we're gonna talk about my mental health. I'm just kind of giving you the whole story of why I am the way I am.
Pretty much.
It's been a long ride, a long journey to where I am today. So let's get started. My parents were together for 13, almost 14 years. They had me after they were married for a year. Before, they weren't together that long. I was born February 26th. This part doesn't matter, but like, my parents were not in love. They never really got along too well. They didn't plan to have a kid. They didn't, you know, talk about what they would do if they had a kid. My mom likes to say I was a surprise. We all know that's a nice way of saying I was an accident, but they kept me, and I turned out okay.
Are you sure about that?
They had my sister when I was 5.5 years old, and from there my life pretty much shit the bed for a little while. My mental health was garbage. From the ages of 5.5 to 12, my parents were almost never seen in the same room, and when they were fighting with each other. And my sister and I bonded because of my parents' relationship, and a lot of my dad's anger was taken out on me. We have a great relationship now. It's a lot better than it was, but for a while it was just, I didn't like him, and he didn't like me. When I was 10, that I had my first mental breakdown. I will remember this very, very vividly, and it explains a lot of, you know, my diagnosis, and I'll get to that in a minute. When I was 10, I was shoveling the steps after a huge snowstorm, and I got really, really stressed out and really angry. So when I finished, I went to the bathroom, and I found a disposable razor that we just kept, and I cut my knuckles. That was the only time I did it that year. Didn't do it again for a few years, but I went like this on both of my hands and just left it at that. I thought that I could do it because I was scared to actually hurt my arms, and didn't want people seeing, so I felt like the lines would blend in with like the lines of your fingers, and I did that, and then I was fine. I didn't tell anybody, I didn't do anything, and you know, I lived my life, whatever. And then at age 12 is when it started getting real bad. We're gonna jump ahead. I was in and out of therapy from age 12 on. Age 12 is when, is when everything pretty much combusted, I guess, like exploded, and then got better from there. Middle school is a rough time anyway. I was in 7th grade, I had long red hair. When I started making YouTube videos, that's when everything went wrong. My parents divorced in March, which, you know, for the best, for sure, and I see that now. It never really made me sad that they broke up. I didn't know. I knew they weren't gonna last forever, but you never think. My parents divorced when I was 12. My sister and I were okay with it. for lack of a better explanation. But shortly before my parents had divorced, I told them that I was hurting myself. I wrote my dad a letter after a big fight that we had. He yelled at me, and I explained why I was acting the way I was acting, and used my self-harming as an outlet for a lot of my anger. I asked to go to therapy. I asked, which a lot of kids don't do, you know. I asked. I was like, I think therapy would be good for me. You know, I had to grow up really fast. Being in 7th grade is not one of the things you usually think about, like, oh, I should go to therapy. Like, I should go talk to someone about what I'm feeling. Not something you usually do. Something I did. Something I'm grateful I did. So, first therapist didn't work out. And then I left therapy for a while because I was feeling better just naturally, because a lot of it was hormones and puberty. Went back into therapy at the age of 14, 15, shortly after I broke up with my first boyfriend. What is he doing? And I loved her for a while. We had a lot in common. The door's open. We had a lot in common. We talked about, but then she started condescending me when I got older, and I, like, realized that, you know, she wasn't a good match. I had to let my dog out. So I stopped going to therapy for a while after that, and then last year, or like shortly before 2017 started, I wanted to go back to therapy, and I did this solely because I knew I needed medications. There was more wrong with me than I was used to, and it was hitting a point where it wasn't puberty anymore, because 17 is when you kind of stop, you come to like a plateau, and you're like not hormonal anymore. So I was like, there's more to this than puberty and hormones and whatever. I have something seriously wrong with me. I had never been diagnosed before with anything. I thought I had regular depression. So I went to therapy, and I went with the intention of being diagnosed and prescribed medication to further my treatment. Therapist, though he was the one to diagnose me, useless. Other than that, completely and utterly useless. And I don't usually shit talk people because a lot of people, you know, they work different ways. He gave me worksheets and breathing exercises. My last appointment, I was like, I'm breaking up with you, pretty much. Like, I'm done seeing you. And then I found someone who I absolutely love. She's amazing. She understands me. I can talk shit with her. Like, I'm absolutely incredible. So, therapist before the one I have now diagnosed me with, it's like bipolar 2. Let me explain. Bipolar disorder is a mood disorder where you have upswings, and for months at a time you can be happy and excited about life, and you don't really have an appetite, you don't really need to sleep, you're very either sexually active or sexually frustrated, you know, there's a lot, and, you know, you're mostly, you know, optimistic, for lack of a better word. And then the downswings, which is the regular depression, the sleeping, the not being able to get out of bed for months at a time, or, like, I was diagnosed with bipolar 2, which is, like, the depressive episodes are more prolonged and more frequent than the manic episodes, and you don't really, I mean, I've had a full-on manic episode, I've done that, but not everybody with bipolar 2 has experienced full mania. They've experienced hypomania, which is more internal, like, racing thoughts, and, you know, lots of ideas that you want to write down, and a lot of, like, impulsive, you know, actions, and that's where a lot of my self-harming came in, was when I was manic rather than when I was depressed. Because, like, I need something to quiet everything in here, so I, like, focus on the outer pain. This got really dark, but I think the reason I wanted to make this video is Suicide Prevention Day was recently. I've been going through a lot more than I, you know, had planned to go through this year, because I thought I was, like, on the road to recovery. Shit happens. You are going to relapse. I hate to say that, and not everybody does, but a lot in the majority do. And it's okay, because relapse is a part of recovery. And I want to say this, especially now, because a lot of people are dying from drug overdoses. Addiction is also a disease. These mental illnesses and, you know, the side effects of them are no one's fault. If you so happen to draw the card of fucking bipolar disorder, or you have an addictive personality, or, you know, even if it's regular depression or anxiety, it's not your fault. And a lot of people think that it is. Tried to hurt yourself, or have had suicidal thoughts, or have wanted to kill yourself. And I'm not gonna make this preachy because I'm not 12 anymore and I'm not like, you're not alone, blah, 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 blah. But like, I've been better. I've learned how to take care of myself more than, you know, I used to know how to, and that just comes with practice and progress and, you know, getting the help that you know you need. I wanted to make this video mostly because of all the people that were like dying or relapsing, and not just because of drugs, but because of like the mental illness behind the drugs, and trying to take away the stigma of addiction and like the blame, because it's no one's fault. Like, your self-control is something you have to practice and learn, yes, but, you know, drug addiction isn't something that you can just snap your fingers and it'll go away. So next week's video is going to be a little more light, a little more my speed with relating to Paramore. And I hopefully will see you next week when I remember to make that video. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for hanging out. I will talk to you later. And yeah, bye. What? What? Okay. I don't want to say shit hit the fan, because shit hit the fan multiple different times. Can you stop? Sis. Hey, stop it. Lie down. I'm trying to film a video. Anyway, good boy. This video is going downhill real fast.